Hello. Short video today. We got the same T-shirt on that I had on the last one. How about that? Um, Point of interest, right? I want to talk to you about applied behavior analysis. Uh, part of what you're doing, you don't even know you're doing it with your project. It's used a lot in sports and athletic training, and it's used to teach and reinforce skills that are used in training and then in competition. What you're trying to do, give you some background in a minute. What you're trying to do is uh, change behavior, right? Now here's the background, all right? Um, I played athletics since I was a little guy, like 6, 7, 8 years old. I started playing baseball, Little League baseball, youth baseball, and then played youth football and played. Uh, I played baseball till I was about 12, I think, off and on. Football off and on through my young years, and then uh, went to a small college and played defensive back there, and then went to the University of Florida and made the team as a punter. And so, what's the point in all this? And then I transitioned over from football at Florida because I wasn't a starter. Uh, I left the team and joined the rugby team. Played rugby for off and on for 16 seasons. Raced motorcycles. Um, so I have a very athletic background, and I'm telling you that not to for you to have these wonderful ideas about what I've done at all, but to tell you that I've been around a lot of coaching. I coached high school football, I coached high school basketball, high school football in Florida. That's really one of the major religions in Florida, is football, as it is in Texas, is Friday nights at the football game. So had a lot of involvement, a lot of training, a lot of coaching experience. Coached rugby. Um, so what's the point? Um, the point is I have used behavioral analysis. I have used applied behavior analysis before I even knew what it was. And then now that I know what it is, then I would know what I was using, so to speak. So applied behavior analysis. There's various methods, but the end result is you want to change an athlete's behavior. Now, let me stop right there. So, what's this got to do with us? You may be asking. We're not. Some of us are athletes, but not all of us are. Doesn't have to just simply apply to athletics. It's just that athletics is one of those areas where you see the application of this, and then you see the end results pretty quickly, depending on the ability and capability of the athlete. So it applies to everyone. You use applied behavior analysis in pretty much everything. What do we do that's different in athletics? Well, there's more of a hands-on authoritarian approach to it. There's an enforcement quality to this and an enforcement aspect to this. For instance, if you're on the football team at the University of Florida, you don't go to the cafeteria and eat every day. You're on a special diet uh, that enhances performance. Regular exercise programs. Weightlifting was becoming a very, very big thing when I was on at the University of Florida, and prior to that, really, but more there because that's a major college. They had this incredible weight room even back in the day, and the football players were in there. Not so much the baseball players, but the football players were in there pumping weights, and unfortunately, some of them were using and enhancing drugs, steroids. Not me. I didn't believe in it because they eventually kill your heart. That wasn't the only reason. They're illegal. It's a felony to possess some of that stuff. So, nonetheless, they're on these high protein diets, low fat diets. They were learning about carbohydrate involvement then, and they were on the weight room program. Let me tell you a little history. You may have seen the commercial, but I'll tell you the real story. And this is behavior analysis. This is applied behavior analysis. The football players, particularly, because it's summertime almost year-round in Florida, give or take, had a lot of trouble with hydration. That was true when I was there playing rugby. I had a lot of trouble hydrating prior to me getting there, and it just, you're obviously going to sweat a lot in a hot, humid environment when you exercise heavily like you do in football and rugby. So we had it made. But prior to us, the athletes that had been there in the early 60s, mid 60s and beyond actually, and before. I know I'm sounding like an old man dragging this out, I don't mean to. Bottom line, okay? They ran out of hydration midway through the game. So Florida used to get beat a lot for some reason because of lack of hydration. Because not everybody that played for the University of Florida was from Florida. We had people from everywhere, all over the country. So you have people that aren't adapted to that, and they were struggling. So the athletic department went to Dr. Cade, I think his first name was Chris, doesn't matter, Dr. Cade, and they said, in the chemistry department, physiologists got involved, and they said, what can we do? Because water ain't getting it. Back in those days, you were given a salt tablet. You take a salt tablet, right? I went to Vietnam, sweated my, self to death, and they would give us salt tablets. Oh, you're sweating all your salt out. Body needs salt. So they give us this thing, looks about the size of a Tums. Eat a salt tablet, drink water. Doesn't work. And so that was the regimen. So they said, what can we give these guys to drink that will keep them hydrated? So he looked at the ingredients in sweat, and he designed this potion for them to drink. And they began to have the athlete, the football players particularly, drink this stuff before the game, during the game, and at halftime as well. And it needed a name, so Florida Gators, right? So they called it Gatorade. And that's where Gatorade comes from. It's Gatorade, aid for the Gators. And then obviously Stokely Van Camp bought the rights to it, and now everybody knows what Gatorade is. Dr. Cade, the inventor of it, never made any money off of it because the university owned the rights to it, and they sold that to Stokely Van Camp with the idea that you can't change the name. And they haven't all these years, since the late 60s. So Gatorade, pretty cool. And why am I telling you all this? Because that's a behavior change. First of all, when that stuff was created and these guys were drinking it, guess what? Guess what it tasted like? Sweat, because that's what it was. It was artificially produced sweat. And Stokely Van Camp got their hands on it and put lemon lime in it, and boom, rest is history. So to get these guys indoctrinated, so to speak, into using this aid, their behavior had to change. No more just water and salt tablets. Now you're going to drink this stuff. And the behaviors were changed, and consequently the performances were boosted. So that's a simple explanation, really, of what behavior analysis is. It's not some magical thing. I'm trying to find my mouse here, guys. It's not some magical thing. It's actually something that's very usable. So how do you make it work? Well, there's a system. Let's say I'm trying to teach you to jump on a trampoline, okay? Or let's use something I'm more familiar with. I'm trying to teach you how to throw a rugby pass. Rugby passes are thrown as a lateral. If you don't know what a lateral is, it's throwing the ball to your side or a little behind you. You're not allowed to throw the ball forward in rugby. It can only go sideways or back. So I'm trying to teach you a good method for that. And the best method that's been devised is to throw a spiral pass, like you see these football quarterbacks throw that pretty spiral downfield. Or a punter like I was, punt this beautiful, we used to call them torpedoes, that spins tightly and then turns over and drops. So I want to teach you how to do that. What am I going to do? I'm going to put you out there and start training you through the movements, the drop of the ball, or in the case of the pass, what to do with your hands. And every time you do it right, I'm going to positively reinforce you. Sounds complicated. Sounds simple. It really isn't simple. It's complicated because I got to know what positive reinforcement means to you. I got to know if you react to positive reinforcement, and what kind. Hey, good job. Or pat on the back, or whatever the case is. And in the process of doing that, I'm going to give you consistent feedback. And I'm going to give you stimulus training. We're going to throw that ball a lot, both sides, because in rugby you got to be able to do it both ways. And then we're going to give you public performance objectives. So I'm going to have you playing a position. Your position requires you to throw the ball a lot or not. Whatever the case is, we're going to tailor that performance business, the public performance business, related to objectives. And we keep stats. How many passes were thrown that were successful? How many passes need work? What was the thinking behind it? You're going to get all that coaching stuff going on. And then I may do chaining. Chaining behavior sequences to train complex movements. You can, if you're interested enough, you can go look up what chaining is. Chaining is be used in almost anything. All it is a step-by-step process linking one movement to another. So in the case of throwing the rugby ball, hand placement, okay, how do I hold the ball? You hold it like this. Almost like you're cradling a newborn baby. One hand further ahead than the other, back hand further back, more toward the tail of the ball. And so on and so forth. Swing your arms, and as you release the ball, you spin it with your back hand. That creates the spiral. So you chain these, picking a target. Where am I going to throw this ball to where this guy that's running, he and the ball will meet in this space? So there's a lot more to it than there looks like. I'm going to use systematic verbal instruction and systematic verbal feedback. Use the same phrasing. Use the same wording. And I'm going to tie this into your behavior mod business in a moment. Describe the movements. Be consistent. Using the same stuff. Use the same stuff in practice. Same movements, the same verbiage. And then use positive and negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement is still a good thing, taking something away that's a cumbersome thing. I'm not going to get into positive and negative reinforcement because that's for that's for operant conditioning classes, and we're not doing developmental psychology here. You can read about it. Positive practice, repeating movements, incorporating the proper technique, changing things in technique to make the outcome better. And then if you aren't going to comply, if you're either you can't do it, that's a different story. But if you're refusing, then we put you in timeout. Now, this is more applicable to teaching someone to do or not to do something. So timeout is kind of a weird application here. But how do we apply this to self-management, behavior management techniques? Well, go back through this list. I'm not going to go back through it with you. But think of it in terms of you and the behavior you're trying to change. Positive reinforcement. That can come from you. Hey, good job, man. You did what you set out to do today. You didn't eat all those donuts. Consistency. Consistency with the feedback. Feels pretty good to congratulate myself. And as a reward, I'm going to go eat donuts, right? No. You can't do that. Public performance objectives. This is going to be more private performance than public. So my objective is not to eat donuts this week. So boom. And I didn't. Hey, changing your behavior sequences. Okay, normally if I was going to eat 2 or 3 or 5 donuts, I'd get those like at 1:30 in the afternoon. I'm making stuff up, so bear with me. After lunch, boom, a little dessert. Change the behavior sequence. Eat lunch later, and don't go at whatever time and go eat your donuts. Systematic verbal feedback. Talk to yourself, not as though you are schizophrenic, if that's even a real word, but talk to yourself in terms of, okay, silently, unless you're in the car and talk to yourself out loud, or you're in an airplane. Talk to yourself and encourage yourself. Positive reinforcement. Hey, good job. What's negative reinforcement? Very briefly, okay, I'm going to use negative reinforcement today. I didn't eat the donuts, so I was supposed to clean up my room today. I'm going to put that off till tomorrow. That's negative reinforcement. It's a good thing because it takes away something you didn't want to do, although you know eventually you have to do it, right? And then just keep this positive practice over and over and over and over again. And if you want to use timeout, if you screw up, then to use timeout in a personal sense, then take something away from yourself that you really desire. Okay, I can't watch my favorite TV program. I'm not going to allow myself to do it. And guess who has to be in charge of all this? You do. Let me do it this way. You do. How's that? Better? All right, so that's a little bit of a rundown about this behavior analysis business. And then one last little bit. Behavior analysis revolves around 3 things. So you might want to make sure you jot these down because you're going to apply these in your program. An antecedent, that's a prompt or initial situation leading to a behavior. Something occurs, makes you want to do this behavior that you're trying to change. The behavior itself, that's the action in response to the antecedent. So what we're talking about here, a precursor to setting off a behavior. And I can't give you a zillion examples. I won't. You know what it is that sets you off. Food that you shouldn't eat in the house, that's an antecedent, right? Or anything else. And then the behavior would be eating the food, eating the sugary snacks that you're trying not to eat anymore. And then the consequence. What's the consequence? The reinforcement mechanism that you create, really, associated with the behavior. So this is tricky. So I eat this sugar and I get this sugar rush. I enjoy that, right? That's a consequence. What about I'm trying not to eat this and I don't get the sugar rush, that's a consequence, right? I have to figure out how to make that positive. One way to do it is say, yeah, I'm missing that sugar rush, but look what I'm doing. I'm changing that. I'm changing that behavior for the better because I'm trying to quit eating all that yucky stuff and trying to eat healthy food. Replace the food with something healthy. Eat a carrot instead of Snickers. Whatever you do. So that's in essence what we deal with. Antecedent, the behavior, the precursor, i.e. antecedent, the behavior, i.e. the action, and the consequence, i.e. the outcome. What am I doing to myself? All right, I hope this helps you. Email me if you need to and ask questions. And for those of you in the Harvard section, ask me in class. Take it easy.